Why are so many people quitting their jobs today? So today I want to talk about a recent report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that you might have seen that highlighted in August over 4 million Americans quit their jobs. And this is a high point in recent history, but I do want to point out that this is a part of that longer trend called the Great Resignation, as we've been seeing quit rates increase really since the start of the pandemic. And so today I really want to zoom into a few things with respect to this report. First, talking about what does that look like from a regional perspective, specifically in the South and here in North Carolina. How does that 4 million look here? And then talk about what does that look like from an industry perspective? What are some of the industries that are feeling this the most? What are some of the industries that are feeling this the least? And then again, what are those driving factors behind this? And how can Charlotte Works and NC Works help your business if you're dealing with these challenges today? And so looking at it from a regional perspective, what I want to point out here is out of those 4 million Americans that quit their jobs in August, 40% of them left their job in the South. And so in the background on your screen, you can see the southern region that includes North Carolina. Again, it's a big region, but compared to other regions, you'll see workers from the South were almost 3 times as likely to quit their jobs as workers from the Northeast, almost 2 times as likely as workers from the West, and about 1.5 times as likely as workers from the Midwest. And so this isn't entirely surprising if you remember the recent Oxfam report that came out a few months ago that ranked North Carolina as one of the worst states for those working families, again, struggling to earn a family sustaining wage at minimum wage in a lot of the positions that they have. So a lot of that pent up frustration could be driving a lot of these resignations in this region. And so then thinking about that, well, what does it look like from an industry perspective? So what are some of the industries that were hardest hit? What are some of the industries that have seen a large change, either good or bad? And so starting with those industries that were hardest hit, again, not going to be too surprising here. You're going to see accommodation and food services, leisure and hospitality, retail trade, arts, entertainment and recreation, and trade, transportation, and utilities. And what you might notice is that these industries line up pretty closely with those industries that were hit hardest by the pandemic. And so some of these industries do generally have high turnover rates like accommodation and food services. But I think it's important to note that the impact of the pandemic, a lot of workers were laid off. These businesses struggled. And as they're starting to ramp back up, I think there are a few different factors going on here. As businesses have lost a lot of money, they're running with a leaner crew. We're hearing that a lot where maybe if they had a team of 5 before, they're running a restaurant with a team of 3 or 4. And they're scaling that back down to try to save on some overhead costs. And then if you also think about it from the workers' perspective, if they lost their job initially, again, they lost that security. There might have been some trust that was broken. They may have left the industry entirely. They may have found something else to do. And so those workers that do return, there's that loss of institutional knowledge. Again, there's that stress from having a smaller crew to do the same amount of work. And so a lot of this is compounding to lead individuals to just start to quit all of these jobs in these industries. And when we talk about the next thing is, what is that biggest change? So I alluded to this on the last slide where some of those industries previously also generally tend to have high turnover rates, but these are the industries here that have seen the biggest increase year over year. So August of last year to August of this year, we're talking about, again, arts, entertainment, and recreation, other service occupations, and construction. And so construction is one I want to talk about because they have generally been below average for quit rates. So last year they were around 1% quit rates, and this year they more than doubled. So we've seen a large increase in the number of workers in this industry looking to leave recently. And so then we look at that, and then let's talk about some of those industries that we've actually seen a decrease in quit rates. And so those industries are government and finance and insurance. And this isn't too surprising if you think about what we talked about in the first slide with those jobs that have a lot of stress, a lot of insecurity in terms of their stability, and then lower paying, lower wage jobs. Well, these industries here, you think about a government occupation, it's a lot more stable of a role. And so people are less willing to leave that today. And then finance and insurance, again, it's a higher paying industry, good paying jobs. And so people are, again, gravitating to more of those professions today. And if they get one of those roles, they're less likely to leave them right now. And then again, we want to talk about what's driving all of this. So when we're seeing all of these trends, what does that really look like? And so this is going to build on what we talked about from our Charlotte talent survey that we partnered with Goodwill on. So if you haven't seen that video in full, I'd encourage you to go check that out. But again, some of the key takeaways here. Why are workers staying at their roles? Well, the most important factors that we heard from Charlotte residents were flexibility, company culture, workload balance, and physical safety. And again, that idea of workload balance is what we talked about earlier in this video, that idea of having a smaller team to do the same tasks that a larger team used to have to handle. And so that's causing a lot of burnout, a lot of stress. People are staying at jobs that do a better job of managing that workload balance. And again, leaving those jobs that are trying to cut costs and trying to cut their crew. And again, that company culture and that flexibility are also critically important right now. But when we look about that, and when we look at it again in terms of what is the scale and scope of this idea, this great resignation, well, again, we noted in our talent survey, even out of those individuals that were actively employed, 58% of them were actively seeking employment. And so this is something that we talked about a couple months ago when the survey came out. It's not really surprising to see this manifest in the quits data, because individuals are actively looking for new and better opportunities that provide more stability or higher pay. And if we think about that, let's go to the next slide here where we'll talk about exactly what workers are looking for. And so again, in our talent survey, the top two needs for workers searching for employment were employer valuing physical safety and an opportunity for career advancement. And then right behind that, salary and flexibility. And so again, you think about the opportunities for career advancement in some of these industries that are seeing the largest number of quits. That career pathway is not as clear in some of these industries. Thinking about it in terms of food service or accommodations, your pathway to advancement, it's a narrowing pathway and there aren't as many opportunities there. So again, workers are getting fed up with not being paid a living wage, and then still not having a pathway or a opportunity to progress in their career to ultimately earn that wage. So that's, again, another driving force that we're seeing here. But again, the last thing I wanted to leave you with is, if you're a business faced with these realities today, how can we help you? So again, how we help is if you have a business need that involves people, we can help. And so if you have a business need that involves employees, we can provide no cost assistance. And what that looks like is thinking about this in terms of your business process. You identify a business need, you have a plan to meet that need, maybe you create a position, recruit talent, and then develop and retain talent. Well, once you identify that business need, as you start developing that plan to meet the need, if that plan involves employees, we can help. So reach out to us at that point before you create the position, as it just expands the variety of options that we have to help support your needs as it relates to talent attraction and retention. And so in relation to that, in relation to talent attraction and retention, what does our help look like? So with respect to talent acquisition, we provide services to help you recruit and source talent. We can provide temporary staffing. We can provide financial assistance for new full-time permanent hires. And again, if you're one of those companies that are saying 58% of our workforce is actively seeking another job, what can we do to help you with talent retention? Well, we can provide financial assistance to retain and develop current employees' skills. So thinking about that opportunity for career advancement that is important to a lot of people today, we can help you afford the financial component of that as you develop your own employees internally. And then again, occupational skills training scholarships. So we can also, again, work with you to develop your talent so that they are not looking to leave, so that they have those career advancement opportunities internally and you don't lose that institutional knowledge with turnover. And so lastly, again, if you're looking for any of these services or you're looking for help, I'm just going to leave you with the contact information on the screen for our business engagement team and our NC Works Career Services Center. But I hope you enjoyed today's brief labor market update about the state of quits in the United States.